Hello, welcome back to my Mercedes Sprinter Campervan build. My name's Roger, and in today's video what we're going to do is install a pair of seats in the back of the van. Now, they're not fixed in at the moment, but I've got a double seat from a crafter. So I'm doing a 2019 Sprinter. I think these were out of a 2020 crafter. So they're very much the similar seats. So I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I've put the seats where I'm going to put them. So this is just sat on the floor at the moment. And I've got to say a big thanks to Alex Frood from Mispronounced Adventures, who I've been following for a while, and he gave me the tips on how to fix these in the best way you can. So what we're going to do is sit the seats on this. So this is 50 by 100 box steel, and I've got 3 pieces, and the seats are going to sit on top of the box steel. I'm going to bolt the seats to the steel, and then the steel bolts through to the floor of the van, and that gives me the flexibility to put the bolts into the the floor of the van wherever I need them, because there's all sorts of chassis, and I've got to avoid the exhaust pipe, and there's bits underneath the van which make it tricky to put the bolts exactly where I need them. Also, these are 50mm tall. My floor is, I've got 25mm of Celotex, and then we've got 18mm of ply on top of that, with a 1 or 2mm of vinyl. So these should just sit proud at the top of the floor. What I've done so far is I've sat the seat in here, and then down here, this is where the seats, they bolt through there. They'd normally bolt into the front of the van. I've marked the positions where I'm going to put it, and I'll show you how the steel goes. So, let's put these back. I'll just sit you down there a minute. So I've just marked out some positions here where the screw holes go, and then these pieces of steel need to go something like this. This one needs too long, that needs to be cut down. So the steel sits like that. The furthest one, that one is going to be cut about here, and then I've got to cut 4 holes in the floor to sit them in, so they sit flush down to the metal of the van, and then these get bolted to the floor of the van. The seats get bolted to these, and that is about as secure as you can do. This is over engineering the seat fixing, because I do have a seat belt on here and I want this to be safe. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find where I'm going to fix. So the box is going to go here and here, so I need to fix that into the van, but I don't know where this comes out at the moment. I've had a look underneath, and this is clear. So what I'm going to do is just drill a hole through the floor. Okay, I'll leave the drill there, and then I'll take you around and let's see where that popped out. Okay, so this is where I've drilled in. I'm going to come underneath the van. Hopefully, I've come out. Oh, there we are. So I've appeared there. So that's perfect. So for the first hole is going to go here. The second one will come about there. So I'll have 2 bolts, and then I'll put some spreader plates, 3-inch spreader plates here. So that first piece is easy. And the next one is a bit more of a challenge. That's going to come around this chassis member. So I'm probably going to have to put one either side, and then a plate, so that will be really secure. So we'll be bolting to the chassis of the van. And the last one is the most challenging one, because it was going to sit somewhere under here, So I'm going to have to lift some exhaust pipes. But yeah, good start. Okay, so I've just put another hole down here. Now the challenging part is the centre piece. So this is the centre piece of the seat, which I would say is probably the most important one. And this steel is probably going to go there. And there is a chassis member going, the entire chassis of the van is running right down here. So this goes right into the middle of the chassis, so I can't get a bolt in there. But if I put that steel like that, and I put a bolt here and a bolt here, and then I put a spreader bar underneath, I can then securely bolt this to the chassis member that comes here and here. So I'll go underneath and show you that. Okay, so the second hole has popped out there, and I want to get the third fixing. That needs to go across to here. Let's see if I can lie you down. So the fixing's here, and the next one actually is 25 centimeters from that drill hole, which puts me bang on that chassis member. So if I was going to bolt the seat directly to the floor, it would come in here, so I couldn't get access to it. But that works in my favour because I'm going to bring the hole only 20 centimeters, so about here. So one hole here, one hole the other side, and then I can put a steel bar across here, and we can screw 2 bolts, one either side, and then literally pull that top plate against the chassis, and that will give that seat as much structural strength as it's ever going to get. So that'll be phenomenal. Okay, let's go upstairs again. Okay, so that's the one hole. So that's the chassis that goes all the way down, and I've grabbed one hole here, and where is it? Perfect. Right, so that one's landed just there. So I've now got a hole either side. I can then brace that piece amazingly. Oh no, I can't. This exhaust bracket's in the way. Oh no, I think I'm gonna have to move that hole. This exhaust bracket is gonna come in the way, so I'm gonna have to move that hole an inch. Oh, it's annoying. Okay, move it down an inch, and then we can go straight across here without problem. Okay. Okay, so I've got a hole here, a hole here. The chassis is going there, so this is going to sit there. I've got to drill an access hole here and here so I can get the socket into here. This bolts to the floor, and then underneath there'll be 2 longer bolts coming down like that, and then there'll be a piece like that across the chassis, and that's going to be really holding that secure. So next job is 25mm access holes here so I can get a socket down, so when I put the bolt in there I can drill through. Okay, so day 2 and we're on the seats again. I'm going to show you what I've done so far. So the next challenge is to get this steel beam sunk into the floor. So I've traced around it with a Sharpie, I've cut out my lovely floor, and now I've got a hole, and I've got to cut that wood down to the metal of the van, and then we can bolt the steel bar directly into the metal and the chassis of the van, and then the seats go onto the metal, and that is going to be super secure. So how to cut this out? I haven't got a multi-tool, so my plan is I've got a jigsaw which I've just trimmed the blade off, so hopefully I can just jigsaw around that. Let's see. Okay, and there's the hole in the bottom of the van. So the trick is now if this fits in there, it doesn't, so need to shave a few bits off there. Okay, so these aren't bolted down fully yet. I've just got the bolts through the floor of the van so I know where they sit. I'm then going to sit the seats onto the metal bars just to see where the holes go, drill the holes, so the 4 outside corners, and then bolt the seats to the metal frame, and then we can put the last piece that needs to go, that big goes to go back here. There's a square that just fits there, and then we should be getting there. Okay, so I've got the first one placed in, and I've got the second beam which I've put here, so I'm going to cut that hole down, and I've got a smaller one that just needs to go here, and this is going to go across the main chassis member. This is going to be the main strength of the system. I'm going to cut this one out now. So what I've done to cut the hole out is I was taking a jigsaw. I've got an old blade here, and I've cut the bit off the end, so there's only about 30 mil now, which is enough to go down into the hole and not touch the floor of the van, so I can just drive that straight around. So this piece, the benefit of using these steel beams is that underneath the van, the handbrake cable actually runs right about here. So the handbrake cable's going through here, and it's very close to the top of the van floor. So I can't get any good fixings in, so I've had to, this has to be here, and these two are going to fix this side, so this is about 1 inch away then from where the handbrake cable runs, so that's clear. And then once these are bolted through, then the seat is going to sit somewhere about here and here, and that's the fixings for that. That one's over there, and then where the jigsaw is, I've got one more to put in there's a small piece that goes about there. Okay, so these aren't bolted down fully yet. I've just got the bolts through the floor of the van so I know where they sit. I'm then going to sit the seats onto the metal bars just to see where the holes go, drill the holes, so the 4 outside corners, and then bolt the seats to the metal frame, and then we can put the last piece that needs to go, that bit needs to go about here. There's a square that just fits there, and then we should be getting there. Okay, so I've actually skipped a bit of video. I forgot to film some of this, but I'm just about to bolt the seats now finally into the van, and I'll show you the situation we've got. Is on the bottom of the seat, this piece of steel is then bolted through and into the factory fitting hole on the seat frame, same on each one, and they're just bolted through there. And then if we come around to where this is going to go, now on the floor I've got 3 holes cut down. There's holes drilled in the floor that will go through the steel, and that will bolt underneath the van with spreader plates. And the center one, where that piece of wood is, just there, is the main chassis member of the van. That goes under here. So I've got a hole this side, a hole this side. There's I've got two 200mm bolts that are going to go down, and then a piece of steel underneath the chassis, which I'll show you in a minute. And that's going to be literally bolting the seat to the chassis of the van. So this is super secure. So I've now got to just wiggle this into the hole. Bring it around here. Let's have a look if I can set the camera up here somewhere. Okay, so this is the challenging bit because I did make these pretty snug. And then there we go. So I can now push these into their final resting place. There it goes. Okay, so that is now camera up. So that now sits there, and I show underneath the seat. So now I've got to bolt down through here into the floor of the van. So I've got a collection of hardware. So this is the bolt that's going to go right through, so that will poke out by the chassis, and the other ones are just going to be these standard bolts here. So the way that works, let's come down here. So that now pokes out underneath the van, spreader plate and bolt, and the other one goes in here. I can get it in. Okay, so those two are through, and then I've got the one here. So this is the back main. This is the main structure that I wanted to make sure was bolted really good. So as you can see, these are so long. And then I'll show you underneath the van where they pop out in a minute. They're straight down. And then I've got 2 more.
me just hold the spanner upstairs while I go down. It's always the last one that won't go in. Alright. We'll persuade it. Okay, so that's all 6 bolts through the back of the seats, and then I'll show you where they pop out underneath. Okay, so let's have a look underneath, see what's going on. Show you where those bolts pop out. So that's the left ones, those 2 there, and that are the 2 long ones. So I need to get a piece of steel to bridge that gap, and then that will make that super strong. And then further under the exhaust pipe, just up there, there's 2 more like that. And the way that we fix them on, let's just see if I can leave the camera here, and then it's just I took a piece of the box steel and cut my own little spreader plate. So that goes on there, a washer on the top, and I'll need someone to go upstairs just to tighten them up. And then I'm hoping that when I get the water tank in, that I will have enough clearance here. I'm pretty sure these don't come down enough. I'm putting a water tank under here somewhere, but I'll worry about that when it happens. So I'll just do that other spreader plate. So this just spreads the load if anything was going to pull. But to be honest, the ones in the middle are providing a serious amount of strength. Let's try that one. That hole's going to need to be a bit bigger. That's better. Well, another job done. So I need to say a big thank you to Alex Frood of Mispronounced Adventures for the inspiration and the knowledge on how to do this properly. So that's been done really well. I'm really pleased with that. Box steel, bolts through the chassis. These seats are bolted in. I'll show you just. So all that happens now is the van moves. So I'm really happy that these are bolted in, and when I've got a passenger travelling in here, that this seat belt and the clip are super secure. So on to the next job. Take care.